Hello. We are going to put some brakes on the back of the 1955 Packard today. But before we put the brakes on the Packard, we want to talk about the brake shoes themselves. Now, what is there about brake shoes? They all look the same, but in fact they're not. There's a primary and there's a secondary brake shoe. The primary goes on the front and has less brake material on it than the secondary, which goes on the rear. So if I line these up, you can see that in the back they're lined up, but in the front they're not. So this becomes the primary and this becomes the secondary. Why am I talking about this? Well, we ordered from Cantner a set of rear brake shoes, and what we received was 4 shoes that are secondary shoes. That doesn't mean they're secondary quality, it just means that's the position they're supposed to go on the car. So I called them up and I said, where's the primary shoes? And they said, this is the way they ship them from now on. They said they'd had 45 of them sent out and they hadn't had any problems with them. So we got a set from Max Merit, which is correct, and we have to take the set that's still on the car off so we can send it back to Cantner. Cantner is going to take them back. So let's go take the shoes off the car now. I actually installed on the back of here a set of the shoes that came from Cantner. So we have to take them back off. So now we're going to start the discussion on brakes for a 1955 Packard. Come on, fit there. There we go. Where'd it go? Again, this is the secondary shoe. It has more material on it than the primary shoe and is mounted towards the rear of the vehicle. And what we need off this thing is the C-clip right there and this emergency brake lever. And we're going to put that on our new shoes from Max Merit. What we're going to do now is start our rear brake assembly by attaching the emergency brake lever to the secondary shoe, which has more brake lining material on it than the primary shoe, which goes on the front. The secondary shoe will always be to the rear of the car. And the way we attach the emergency brake lever to the secondary shoe is by using this rivet here. And we've put a little grease on there, not a lot, you don't want to get it on the linings, and it just goes in the hole like that. And then we take this horseshoe clamp and slide it on there and squeeze down the tips. All right.
All done?
So now we're going to go over to the car and put the brakes on.
Okay.
All right?
Am I filming that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. The way I start is I start by attaching the emergency brake cable to the emergency brake lever. And what you have to do is compress the spring that's on the cable and slide the parking brake in place and then release the spring, and that will hold that parking brake cable in place. And the next thing I do is I put the shoe up relatively in position, not really working on it, and I let it slide off the post. Then I take a pin and I put it through the hole. Well, it's not up on the posts, and sometimes if you're lucky, you don't even need a tool to do it. You can just push it on and turn it. And we got one shoe hung already. Now we take the now we take the primary shoe and we put it on the front. But before we do that, we want to put in the self-adjuster and the spring. So I put the self-adjuster spring in, and then the adjuster star wheel goes in line with the slot that's in the back of the backing plate, and fold that up like that. And we have, it gets delicate now, we have the secondary shoe almost hung, letting it slide off the step. There we go. Now we just maneuver the shoes into place. We have to add in the emergency brake equalization bar. And this becomes a juggling match, because one side wants to go together and the other side doesn't. Okay, so now, okay, the next step in the process is to put a washer up here that holds the brake shoes in place. And then on the 55-880 series of the 1955 Packards, the orange spring goes on the front and the yellow spring goes towards the rear. That means the orange spring goes to the primary shoe. And it says in the catalog to be very, very careful to do that. This is a snap-on tool that I find invaluable in doing brake work. I will put the tool number down in the comments. Baby, there you go. Get up there. And this is usually the hardest spring, the last one. And this is the last spring. Oh, no, wait a minute. Where is my anti-rattle spring? There it is. And we'll put this anti-rattle spring in. There we go. And the last spring. And we have a completely installed set of rear brakes on a 1955 Packard. The last thing I like to do as a touch-up is I like to bend these ends in so they're parallel. A pair of channel locks will accomplish that. What we have is a shoe return spring here. This one is painted orange. The Packard manual says that the orange spring should go to the primary shoe, and the primary shoe is again the one that has the least amount of backing on it, brake material on it. This yellow spring goes to the back. All other models other than the 5580 model has blue springs, and it doesn't make any difference which ones you put front or rear. We've attached our emergency brake lever by using the horseshoe clamp, and we have the equalizer bar running from the primary shoe to the emergency brake lever. And finally, we have down here the self-adjuster. And again, the self-adjuster goes so that the window is available to make your adjustments. There's a window right here. All right, we're at a point where what we want to do is adjust up these brake shoes to within 1/32 of an inch is what the manual says. I adjust them up until they're just a slight little bit of drag, and the first time you hit the brakes on it, I think you're gonna get your 1/32 of an inch. But the way you do this is tedious. So we're gonna put the drum on, and we're gonna turn this. And what we want to do is get a slight amount of drag, and that's not too bad. But if I wanted to adjust it up more, what I would do is I'd put the brake spoon in the back, and it goes on the self-adjuster wheel, and you can tighten it up. And probably tighten it to the point where you can't turn the drum. So what we've done is we've adjusted those brakes so far up that they're applied. Now what we want to do is back them off a little bit. And we just go in the opposite direction. So I was going like that, so now I gotta go like this. So what we've done is gotten to a point where we know exactly where it finds up. Now that we'll fine tune it, we'll lock it back up again. Someplace. I want it to go that way. 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. I think that's just a little too tight. We'll back it off too. One, two. I'm happy with that.
Beautiful.
So that's the end of this video, and there'll be more.
Great.